Here are the ages and years of 15 women at West Ribble Tennis Club. On the grid, draw a box plot for this information. Now for box plots, you need 5 bits of data. You need the lowest, and you need the highest. Believe it or not, you plot the lowest at the lowest point and the highest at the highest point. You also need what's called the median. You then need the quarteth one, because that's the halfth one. Half of a half is a quarter, and the posh word for the quarteth one is the lower quartile, commonly referred to as Q2, or Q1. The median is Q2, and you also need the higher quartile, apart from its posh word is the upper quartile. Now the lowest and highest is not that difficult to find. There it is. 16 is the lowest, the youngest person, and the highest, the oldest person, is 50 at West Ribble Tennis Club. I'm just going to rewrite this. The computer's done something a little bit mad. It should be 35 there. I don't know why it's done that. It's just a bit of formatting on the computer. So we got the lowest, we got the highest, and to find the median, I'll do that year 7 trick of ticking off the biggest and the smallest. Biggest, smallest. Takes me about half an hour to do this, but I'm sure I'll get there eventually. I have been talking, and I'm not entirely sure that what I'm doing is correct, so I'm going to check my answer. I think it's 28, and we'll check it's 28 by counting the ones below it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and counting the ones above it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've done that perfectly, so 28 is my median age. Now to find the lower quartile, if you have one number in the middle, scribble it out and get rid of it. If you have 2 numbers in the middle, split it and use the lower one in the lower quartile and the upper in the upper quartile. But here we've got 1. Now the lower quartile will be in this set of data somewhere. All those lower, these younger people. And how am I going to find it? Well, I'll do exactly the same technique again. I'll cross off the biggest and smallest, biggest and smallest, biggest and smallest, and it looks like the lower quartile is 20, and I'll double check my answer. There are 1, 2, 3 people younger than 20, 1, 2, 3 people older than 20 in there, so the lower quartile is 20. And the upper quartile, of course, will be in all the numbers above the median that I've scribbled out, and it will be the middle of those numbers. So once again, I'll cross out the biggest and match it with the smallest, biggest to match with the smallest, biggest to match with the youngest, so it looks like it's 42. I've got 1, 2, 3 numbers above, 1, 2, 3 numbers below, so I've done that one correctly. 42. A little bit of bad exam practice now. I'm not going to use a ruler on this. Please can you use a ruler in the exam? First of all, let's check out the scale. It goes from 10 to 20 and it's going up. There's 10 boxes there, so each box is worth 1, so it's a nice easy box plot to draw. We'll draw a nice line at 16. The examiner will give you half a square's tolerance here. The lower quartile of 20, be deadly accurate with the plotting of your box. The median of 28, so 1, 2 squares below 30. I've done 29, it's actually 28. I'm going to draw a little arrow to that. I think the examiner will know what I mean. That's right, this one's wrong. The upper quartile of 47, there's 45, so 1, 2 squares to the right of it, 42. I'm making a right mess of this. Never mind, the examiner will know what I'm going on about. Just put a tick there. And the highest of 50. And I'll draw my box and whisker. I did that on purpose, just to show you how to make sure that the examiner knows which lines to draw. If you do that in the exam, it's not a problem. You just say, ignore. And the examiner will be absolutely fine and give that full marks. Reading on, it says the box plot below shows the distribution of the ages of the men at West Ribble Tennis Club. So here we've got the men and here we've got the women. Use the box plots to compare the distributions of the ages of the women with the distribution of the ages of the men. There's only 2 things you're allowed to talk about. Please don't start going on about the lowest person or the highest person or the oldest or the upper quartile or the lower quartile, because you will get no marks. The first thing you have to talk about is the median, the average. Now it looks to me like the median of the men is about 36 and the median of the women, well, that was 28, so the men have a higher or bigger median. It's not enough to say that, though. You've got to put it in the context of the question, and the question was about the age as in years. Well, if they have a higher median, it means they are more in age, so they are older. They are, on average, I hasten to not use the word average, but never mind. They are on average older. Now we've then got to discuss the lower quartile and the upper quartile at the same time. There is a word for in between, an old Latin word. The word, well, there's a very famous football club in Milan that's first initial means the same as it, and that is Inter Milan. The between the Milan, the Inter. And no, you can't write IQR. The Inter Quartile. And we're doing biggest take smallest, and the posh word for that is range. Please memorise. The interquartile range is bigger for, well, it looks to me like this box is 14 squares wide ish. This box is much more than 14 squares wide, so it looks like they've got a much bigger interquartile range. So the interquartile range is bigger for women. In the context of the question, that does not mean the women are older. It means they are more varied. And you will make the examiner smile by getting that question right, because a lot of people go on about the wrong things for that.